And we're live.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for
Greetings and
joining us. It is The Right Perspective. And, if you are a fan of our podcast, you know that we review television shows and movies that are considered classics by somebody or by us. And so we have one show that we're reviewing in real time, and that is This Is Us, because we are so confident that this show will be considered a classic, okay, in the future. All right. So we have decided to talk about this show. So after each episode, we hop on to Facebook to discuss. So kick off our intros, bro.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm the oldest. My name is Aubrey Wright, and I'm the oldest. And I got in trouble for saying just my first name. My name is Aubrey Wright. Yes, my name is Aubrey Wright, and I'm the oldest.
Thank you very much. You have to say the name, or people might not get how witty the name of the podcast is.
I got you.
Okay, I am Janiyah Wright. I am the middle. And you may notice we are missing Brittany Wright, the youngest.
We're missing the youngest.
Listen, bro, this is what it was like. The first, 7 years of your life. And the first 4 years of mine. They were good times. I think that's
until we were blessed. Brittany, when you're seeing this recording, you see I was positive.
That's right.
And Janiyah was being Janiyah. And I was staying neutral.
Bro, when you missed the episode, me and Brittany talked smack on you. So I
don't get to do that. Like, you guys get to do that to me.
Yeah, you go high, we go low, whatever.
No, it's not about that.
Who cares? Who cares, bro? Nobody cares. Nobody in the world. Okay, congratulations. You're super mature. Whatever. I mean, this guy. But
I'm so abused. I'm so abused by my younger sisters. Somebody help me. I need a shelter or something. you guys treat me so bad. Why you treat me so bad?
Oh, he just loved it. So y'all.
Well, I guess
I'm gonna try to keep up with the social media. I mean, Brittany is normally on it with the social media monitoring while we're going, but I believe in myself.
I'm good at logging into Facebook, and pretty beyond that, I'm not the greatest. But it's
Bro, why don't you kick us off? You kick us off talking about the episode, and that'll give me 2 seconds to pull this up on my phone.
Well, okay. This was not.
And bro, you got it. It's season 5. Episode.
I need to say. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yes,
Well,
we are about the episode that was on tonight was season 5, episode 10, and the title is "I Got This." And basically, the show was, of course, leapfrogging through time, as it always is, and it was showing how, for Toby and Kate, and for Kevin and Madison, and for Jack and Rebecca, all of them were showing like financial situations, starting off in the beginning of having kids. Of course, Kevin and Madison being extremely rich, Toby and Kate not being, like middle class, not destitute or poor by any stretch of imagination,
right.
But at the same time, missing a few paychecks.
That's right.
Will throw off their plan and their circumstance. And of course, Jack being someone who apparently, which we found at the end of the show, probably wasn't the best at managing money, coupled with all the other issues he got going on mentally, coupled with the fact that he doesn't make a lot of money. And the story with Randall, Randall's family, it really seemed, it was different. It wasn't really an I've got this situation, right? It was more of a little
bit.
So who got this?
So I think there were a couple of times where someone needed to just trust that somebody was going to handle it. Okay.
Okay.
I would say the first time that we saw was probably with, Deja and her boyfriend.
Okay.
She was struggling because we found out in this episode that his baby's mother wants to come back into the baby's life. She ain't been there the whole time. She ain't been around, and she wants to come back in. And that's obviously a big change. And so she had to have a moment of grappling with that. And she did it with her father, with Randall. But I would say that was still a moment. And then I would say they might have had a second one, bro, that I would say is I got this moment, which was when, Beth just made the judgment call to ask the mom to stay. So I don't know, bro. I think those were a couple of moments where perhaps
I could get there.
But I agree with you. It was different.
Yeah, I could get there with you though.
And
but
that whole storyline was the mother, Beth's mother, named what was her name? Carol, Beth's mother, trying to take over everything. And so the whole time she was grasping for, I got this, and she didn't have it, and it wasn't hers to have, but she just was grappling for it. That's for sure.
Yeah,
there was a little power struggle, I guess I would say, but it wasn't exactly the same.
This was a tough episode for me to get through. Like in all 5 seasons, this is the first episode I didn't enjoy.
Wow.
And
say more about that, bro. That's so interesting, and I can guess why.
I'm not even feeding into that. I'm just like,
just answer the question, and then afterwards I'll say something snarky.
There was well, first, there was normally with the show, especially with it being 3 of us, growing up 3 of us together, there's so much I find myself identifying with this show. Mm-hmm. Even though I don't identify with any of the characters necessarily, I feel myself identifying in parts of the characters throughout the entire episode, every episode I watch. And this just was in a place where there was nowhere I could put myself, nowhere where I felt, because transporting myself to a world where, so Carol came through. Carol's staying at Randall and Beth's house, and she is the mother-in-law, and she's overstepping her boundaries in many ways. And I'm just saying, I've never seen that, and I know it exists and everything like that, but like, it was to the point of me being uncomfortable. And if that's what they were trying to do, I get it, but there's just no way I could abide any of the things she was doing. I just couldn't.
Bro, it's so interesting that you would say that, because I was watching the whole thing happen and thinking, yep, that's exactly how the mamas be. That's what I was thinking the whole time. There's something about the mother. So I think that was another part of what we saw playing out in the Randall Beth storyline this episode. It was about mother-daughter dynamic. Okay. Yeah. Because we watched Beth struggling to understand that her mother has the best of intentions. And we also watched Tess struggling to understand that Beth had the best of intentions. Because at the end of the day, we all know intentions don't mean a hill of beans. It really is about the impact. So even if you have the best of intentions, if what you're doing is overwhelming me and it's making me feel oppressed, you need a different approach, and we need to collaborate and partner and figure out how to work together differently. Okay, something I say at work every 15 minutes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, so I will just say, and we've talked about me and Brittany was in the chat for a few minutes, bro, because she just wanted to say hi. And shout out to Rachel, who's in the chat. Rachel was talking about it's an older sibling takeover. It's a Gen X takeover. I love that. Brittany said the elderly are running the chat. So I just want everyone to know.
Somehow she still was able to,
even in writing,
her personality.
The hateration.
Yes, she was able to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
but
very impressed.
she's out of the chat now, bro. So now we're back to that first good 7 years of your life now. Now we're
Brittany,
back
that is
at that.
Janiyah. My life was incomplete until I had both of my sisters.
Oh my gosh. And bro, I will just say, like, I Brittany and I have shared on this podcast, as it's come up in content that we've reviewed, that we have felt attention with our mom, just in terms of like, and listen, let the record show our mom is the best mom. Like, I mean, it's true. Like, I mean, if you were just to like have a mom rating scale, our mom is the best mom. She just is.
Right.
I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have
Very
the mom
fortunate.
that we have. At the same time, she's very confident in her perspectives on certain things. And really,
she's got the right perspective.
Oh, yeah, she does. She thinks she do. She thinks she do. And the challenge with it is that when I saw it in Beth's mom, it was this whole, I have a way that I do things and I know that it is right for me. And therefore I'm confident that it's right for you. And so if you aren't doing it that way, you're failing, you're doing it wrong. And that's a struggle. And so it's like the mom loving the child so much, they want the child to have the best possible path. But realizing that even if you tell me your conclusions, what you've learned in your journey, it doesn't mean I'm going to take that information and get to the same conclusion.
Right.
So anyway, bro, I felt like it was about, that was a mother-daughter
thing.
Well,
and I could definitely see that. I think for me, it was more of granny, we all grew up with a very strong nuclear family. Like we spent a lot of time with both of our grandparents. My father's father passed away very early, even before you were born, I think, Janiyah. And
I have some pictures with him when I was a baby, but I don't.
Okay. So it was very close to that. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. You kept saying 7 years, and it got me confused. But yeah, I think I was 5 when he passed away. But outside of that, we had all of our grandparents until very late in adulthood.
Very late.
And what I'm saying is I never observed either any of our grandmothers coming into our home and being the way they were. So that's
well, bro, I'm going to tell you one thing for sure. Maybe they didn't come into our home and do it, but they were doing it everywhere else we were. And I'll tell you, our mother manages to do it via telephone. Okay, mommy ain't in Brooklyn, and she's here. She's here right now, projecting her perspective onto me. But bro, listen, I saw it. I saw the dynamic and again, it's not a complaint. It's just a fact. It's just like, because we had really great grandparents, and I just would say though that I did watch our mother's mother really put her through the ringer sometimes.
I know that, and I might have missed that, what I'm saying? Because if we're being honest, I know that on both sides of our family, growing up as a guy, growing up as a woman was different in different ways. There were parts of one experience that, didn't cross over necessarily. But what I'm saying is that I don't see either grannies coming home to correct dad in any circumstance.
So I hear what you're saying, bro. You're talking about the women deferring to the men.
No, piece. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in his house, they would have deferred to him because it was his house, not because of, all the other stuff we could talk about. But I'm saying I think that in that circumstance, there was just that, when you enter somebody's home, that's the rules.
Yeah.
They make the rules of their home.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I didn't witness that. I didn't witness somebody coming into somebody else's home and telling them how to do what they're doing, and so that was tough. And
But bro, is it also fair to say, like, I think, like, and I'm not refuting what you're saying. I'm just throwing something out because I agree with you. We didn't see that.
Yeah.
We didn't see one of our grandparents coming in trying to tell our parents how to run their household.
Right.
Part of it is that our families tended to, gather in certain places. Like there were certain family homes that were the gathering points of certain groups of the family. And our family home was maybe that for a subgroup, but not for a big group. And so it's like, I think in some of those big, and then the grandparents came to the big groupings, not the subgroupings. So I think that could have been part of it.
I can see that. I can see that.
Because Beth was talking about your family uses our home like a Ramada. Our house wasn't the Ramada house. We had like other aunts and uncles that ended up being the Ramada house. But also, bro, the other thing I wanted to say is I often wonder what our experiences would have been if me and you and Brittany, we went away to college and we have never lived at home as adults. Mm-hmm. We never did. And so we all left the home at the age of 18. And so we never got a chance to live with our parents as adults and to watch them interact with their lives and their family members as adults. And so I wonder what how that might look,
how the perspective might be different.
How it might be different.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. And
we'll never know.
I'm just saying in this circumstance, her being like that was just angering me so much that it was pushing me beyond enjoyment of the show. Because I can assure you of this. There is nobody coming into my house telling me anything. That would be a one-time occurrence, and it would never happen again.
That's actually a great segue to another topic, because, bro, I wanted to tell you where we have Rachel made a comment in the chat that, she thought that the episode was more around mothers and how the mothers got this, how they got this, and that the episode really celebrated mothers. And I hadn't thought about it that way, but I see that. Yes. I see that pretty clearly, that's who was saying, I've got this in this episode.
Got this. Yes.
It was the moms, and so I agree with that.
Yeah.
But bro, what you just said is a good transition, I think, to the gender role piece that I think was playing out in this episode big time. Let's talk about Kate and Toby. We talked about Randall and Beth and Mom Carol. Oh, one more thing on Carol. I love Phylicia Rashad. Clearly she's not aging. I want her to be my aunt and I want to hang out with her. And I'm so happy that she's going to be staying so that we get to see her episode after episode for a little while. I love the song. But bro, transition to Kate and Toby. I mean, what was your reaction to the way that Toby was holding this pressure of job search and the way it all kind of came to a head?
And that was the other part, is that
it's hard to see.
I am a very proud man, and I'm a very stubborn man. I might be the most stubborn person I know.
Well, I want to make sure the transcript shows that you are the most stubborn person I know.
And Janai, I'm not even going to argue with that. But I could promise you this. You spoke about your relationship on the program, right? I can promise you this. Let's say I fell on hard times and I was, and stuff was, and let's say James hit it big. He was a multi-millionaire and he was talking about building a compound. I'm like, whoa, I was worried before I walked into this house. Now I'm not anymore. And
listen, I would have never been worried to begin with. Because
but let me just say this. That was another piece that was difficult for me because I don't know if this is unique to our relationship as siblings, but like for us, like owing money is not even a thing. Like that's not even like, and I even had to think about why this was weird to me. That's how much of not a thing it is. But
so not a thing.
No, if one of us was had $100 million in the bank for being an actor, all of us got $100 million in the bank for being an actor.
Absolutely.
And that's just how it is. It wouldn't even be like, it just wouldn't even be a discussion.
No way.
Anytime we're making plans, anytime we're dreaming, it's always part of the family unit. And the thing is that extends to the people who are closest to us.
Totally.
So in this case, I was siding with Kevin more than I normally do, because I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
It's like, Kevin was just making so much sense. Like, dude, I'm an actor. I get paid stupid amounts of money for basically no reason. And now we have a reason.
Right.
Now we have a reason.
And bro, and I want to tell you, I was shocked for that reaction to come from Toby. I gotta say, for a couple of reasons. I mean, first of all, bro, I just want to +1 what you said. I mean, I gotta say, it's like our family budget. It's like we don't even. It's not even. It really isn't even a topic worth. Like, we wouldn't even discuss it because it's just so obvious. I feel like if Aubrey has $1, that's also my dollar. And I don't even have to articulate that as a thought, because it's like obviously the case, and it's like if I ever needed to get some of that dollar.
If I was almost broke and I had $1,000 in the bank, and Janiyah called me or Brittany called me and said, I need $1,200. First of all, I would have instantly transferred $1,000.
Yep.
And went out and sold something to get the rest of the $200.
Yep.
And that would be prior to even knowing what it was all about.
Absolutely.
So I don't even I'm just saying that was another part that was hard for me, because, I like Toby. Toby's actually arguably my favorite character.
I was shocked. I was shocked at his reaction.
And I'm gonna shock you probably with my opinion on this, because see, when you're a strong man and when you are proud and all of that, but as sometimes logistics just dictate certain situations. And if you truly know who you are, you can be in this situation the way it needs to be, because you know you're going to come out on the other side and it's going to be okay.
Totally.
And I feel like if you can't step back and say, well, look, she need to work right now, or whatever the case may be,
sure,
in that circumstance, that kind of speaks to your true level of confidence. Because if you know you're doing what you need to do.
I don't disagree with you. Because I do think that is part of being in a unit, and being able to relax and know that you aren't the only person that's responsible for a thing. And so in the event that the role that you generally play, you can't play, you are going to circle back to that at some point. But right now it just needs to get done. And you just figure out how to get it done.
Because rule number 1 is we got to do what we got to do. That's number 1.
But bro, you know what? I will say there are certain things that people attach their self-worth to, or some, like people have a part of their identity that they lead with, and I, I've actually had to put in work to become a person that doesn't lead with my professional identity as my identity. Because especially when you have a professional identity, he's proud of his professional identity.
Right.
And he obviously takes pride in being able to be the breadwinner. And we know that Toby has struggled with depression. We know that Toby has struggled with his weight. And so there are things about him that we take for granted that we shouldn't. And I felt like that was one of the takeaways from this episode. Another takeaway Rachel articulated in the chat.
That's heavy.
It's like, I think it showed that Kevin and Toby are not as close as we once thought they were. And I think that's another important point, because I got to say, bro, I think that Kate would have no problem taking money from Kevin. I think Randall would have no problem taking money from Kevin. Randall, I think, would struggle with it a little bit, and he'd have to have a payback plan, but he would certainly take it. But I think we have been taken for granted the extent to which Toby is integrated into the Pearsons. And this was our chance, per Rachel's note here, I agree with it, to just remember that he's not a Pearson, you know? And so we can't just think that he's going to
I get
be
that.
A part of that dynamic, you know?
I get that. And I definitely understand it. And I even get what they were putting across. And like I said, it's more of an attaching my experience thing, in the sense that I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think anybody who wasn't on board with our family dynamic would make it that far with any of us. Just not an intentional thing.
But he's on board. He's on board. I feel like Toby is on board with the family dynamic. I think that this is a new crossing.
Okay.
And also I think it was also
right.
a moment.
No, you're right.
It was also a moment because
you're right.
Because what I loved about Toby and why I think he really might be my favorite.
Yeah, he might be my favorite too.
It's between him and Beth, I think, because I love me some Beth. I got to say, I loves me some Beth. But the thing about Toby is, like, he was like, you know what? He apologized. And that's actually something that the Pearsons don't do well. They don't apologize immediately. They could take a minute. They got to process. They got to huddle.
Right.
But Toby, like,
speak for 6 months. You're right.
Totally.
You're right.
And so
we can all blow up for a second.
Totally. I mean, he just found out that he had lost the job, got a little newborn baby screaming over in the corner.
No, I mean, it's a lot of pressure. This is good. This is helping me retroactively enjoy the episode more.
Yes. This is helping. Mission accomplished.
This is helping me. This is helping me work it out.
And you know what? And I got to tell you, I am happy to see Madison and Kate getting along and having a rhythm, because that was another thing that could have been a little bit competitive or something, you know?
Yeah.
And so far, so good. And can I just say, when they were talking about everybody growing up in a commune or whatever, in a compound, bro, can I say I had a moment of, like, thinking about how fun it was to have cousins our age.
Let me.
That was so fun and fortunate.
And I'll tell you another thing, if I'm being honest and bearing my soul on this podcast. Another thing I'm thinking through the whole episode, that it just baffles me that people have kids on purpose. It just blows my mind. But
why is Brittany not on here? Why is Brittany not on here to help me with this? Rachel in the chat, please help. What are we talking about? Oh my gosh.
So that's one part. But the reason why I'm saying that, I had to set how I feel up to explain this next part. Because if the compound idea happened, my whole view on that would probably change. Even me. You see what I'm saying? Like if there was some huge, because, like, that would just be fun. You know, like, just be so fun. There's no money worries, and we're all just having fun and growing tomatoes.
And the cousins are like hanging out.
I mean, like, so the point I'm trying to make is that it's such a good idea. Even a person like myself, who is very much never going to have a child ever, is,
oh God,
even I could get on board, you know, in that circumstance. So it's just like, he's talking about building a compound in Malibu. What is the only next thing to happen is you pull up? Yeah, so what? Pull up on your phone and start Googling ideas of what it's supposed to look like.
Totally.
And, like, you know, where it's gonna.
Honestly, I would have already had that idea and told Kevin, like, we're having a compound.
I would have been like, yes, I'd have been like, Kevin,
I would have already been like, get some more nannies in here.
Well, I feel like this, it was in that sense, it was even more something for me to realize how kind of detached I was, because in certain ways we kind of happen to be in that circumstance, because your significant other's in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? You know what I mean? At any moment in time. And James, if you watch it, I'm like, you know, there will never be no Toby conversation
Absolutely. And let me,
because I'm just saying, because if we're, you know, if we're a family, I get what Kevin is saying. He's like, look, man, we're supposed to be having fun together. You know, like that's what this is about. If we don't have that, what's the point?
But
that's what we're grinding for.
And bro, as much as I was like, Toby, why are you not saying, oh yeah, of course, this is the top-notch idea, and thanks, bro, I'll let you know if we need something. But at the same time, oh, and I want to say, bro, Rachel did help us to understand, Aubrey, people have kids to have a legacy and pass their family values and traditions too. Oh, bro, man. That just to be clear, thank you, Rachel. And so, bro, so my whole thing is like, I was really, so as much as I was like, Toby, you know, why don't you get on board? You know, I was also like, Kevin, you should know your relationship with Toby and know whether or not that's the kind of conversation you could have. And then once it became clear that it was tough, you should have left it to Kate. That's when you rely on your sister. That's when you say, okay, I clearly have messed up. And that would have been the moment for Kevin to say, okay, you know what? I have been obviously a little confused about our boundaries right now. And I just want to apologize. And I'm going to take that off the table right now. And that's all and that's what Toby would have done if the shoe was on the other foot. If Toby found himself really pushing at the wrong time, he would have backed off and been mature enough to he'd have some EQ to be like, oh, this isn't the time. But Kevin just wouldn't let it go. So I thought again, Toby was so mature.
No. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm glad we're having this conversation because this is helping me. This is helping me because like I was just like, man, everybody this episode is getting on my nerves. Like everybody is getting on my nerves right now.
You know what, bro? This is a show that I do believe has to be watched in Community. I think we've confirmed that multiple times because there's so much going on. You have to process it in Community, you know?
And you know, the other thing that is just tough for me is that, you know, Dad doted on y'all. You know, like, I mean, whatever the max love a dad can have for daughters, you know, obviously we were very fortunate in a parent situation in both sides. But y'all just, there's no circumstance where y'all would ever talk to him like that. Like, I mean,
no way.
It just, and that's just tough for me, man.
It's way.
Like, you just, even if you wanted to discuss something with him, it would just be a discussion, which he would talk to you.
Yeah.
But there ain't gonna be no popping off. That's just tough for me to watch, man.
Yeah.
It's just tough for me to watch because, you know, that and I'm putting myself in that as well, but I'm saying in this show, they were talking about the, you know, there was a little bit, like Rachel said, this was a mother-centric
Absolutely.
show, but there was that splash of Randall interacting with his daughters. And like, you know, just, that was just tough for me to watch, man. You know, and in talking to you, I see a lot more nuance and everything like that. I was also a little disappointed in Jack, you know.
Yeah, that's the last storyline for us to talk about, bro.
Yeah.
And the fact that he paid for dinner, that was disappointing.
Yeah, because you know, Jack he's tortured. You know, he's has
absolutely
just like we're talking about Toby. We could trace back the reasons for why he is how he is. But I'm just saying it takes confidence to say I can't afford a $200 dinner.
Bro, I'm going to tell you about a little something called imposter syndrome. Okay, because that's what I think Jack was dealing with. It's one of those moments where you just don't believe that you deserve to be in the space you're in. And so you're overcompensating. You know, early in my professional career, I had that. I dealt with it really. I mean, I was in a constant state of giving myself a pep talk to convince myself that I belonged in the places that I was. And so that that does a number on you. And so in addition to the fact that we know that he's really in he's in this career path, and you know, is he walking right now in his preferred professional track? No, he isn't. But he's doing it because he has to provide for his family. And so he had the pressure of, we have 3 children and 1 income, and there's a promotion on the table, and my relationships with these people will make the difference. And at all throughout the dinner, all they're doing is saying, man, we just thought you were a flannel shirt. They're telling him the whole time, you are an imposter. And he's feeling it internally. They're saying it in a joking way that's not funny. And so, bro, I absolutely understood why he did it.
Yeah,
I understood why he did it. I
did not understand, but
I don't think it was a confidence issue, bro. Because and maybe this is just because I have struggled with imposter syndrome, that I don't want to think about it as a confidence thing. It's more about, in my mind, it's more about constantly being put in situations where you do have to overcompensate. And so when you're in situations where you don't have to overcompensate, you don't always see it. You know, and I will just say, as a Black woman in the workplace, it's a long day. Okay. Yeah. It's a long effing day. And so in those places where I don't have to overcompensate, I still, even now, have to remind myself sometimes that I just have to show up and do my best. And that's all I'm responsible for. So I understood. Like I would have paid. I would have done the same thing Jack did, honestly.
And like I said, I understood. Yeah. I know if it was me in the exact same circumstance, like if they would have said, oh, I thought you were a flannel shirt, I'd be like, I am right now, but I'm trying to be more. You know, like that. Right. Like there are ways you could spin that. Or when they did the credit card thing, I was saying, I can't put my thing in that pile yet. But I promise you.
Bro, it's like if people will let you spin it. I will tell you, so this is I'm going to tell a story that's related, I promise. So I have been watching Mad TV on YouTube, because Mad TV clips, because I am studying sketch writing. And of course, I just think like Mad TV and Living Color, they've set the standard for me.
Well, Mad TV, next to Dave Chappelle, is the best sketch show ever.
So excellent. There was a sketch I watched just a couple nights ago where
and before you say it, I already know the sketch.
You already know. Just a couple of nights ago, it was a white woman, and she was encountering Black people, and the narrator would say, what's actually happening? And it would just be a Black man in an elevator saying to her, can you hit floor 6, please? And then it would be like, what you think is happening? And then the lights would start flashing, and he'd have all these tattoos, and he'd have on a hoodie, and he'd be like, hey, bitch, blah, blah, blah. Like, and he'd start like attacking her, and she'd be all scared. And they put her in like 3 or 4 of those situations. And there was like a coworker where it was just like, hey, Susie, can you hand me that paper? And she's like, what you think is happening? Right. And so, bro, I just want to name that to say, and actually, it was a really funny sketch. The sketch was actually for it turned out to be an ad for a pill that you could take for white people to get over their fear of Black people.
Right.
That was really funny. It's totally the kind of sketch we need nowadays to kind of engage in some important conversations. But anyway, I just named that to say that part of it is just naming the thing. But if people are not going to hear you saying it is not going to get them there. So him exhibiting confidence is not going to be the same as them believing he has confidence, I guess is what I'm saying. So he had to show up for them in the way that they could see it, as far as he could tell. You know, and honestly, if he came home and said he did that to me, and I was Rebecca, I'd have been like, yep, that's exactly right. Show them.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I get it.
I
I
didn't
get
take
it.
I
I
didn't
get
take
it.
it.
I
But
get it.
I also,
And like I said, I just it wasn't enjoyable to watch. That's just what
yeah,
I'm saying. For me, it was like
yep,
it was just like I didn't, and it's the first time I've ever experienced this.
yeah,
I still say it's a good episode in the sense that if they were trying to translate feeling uncomfortable, which good shows do sometimes.
yes,
Sometimes they want you to feel how it would be if you were there. And
yes,
if that's what they were doing, again, I will say that This Is Us has knocked the ball out of the park because I
yeah,
truly felt like I was there in all of these
yeah.
circumstances and
Totally.
I was
And
feeling
it
real
was
life
so
emotions.
real. It's so real. It's so real. And
So,
it is real family dynamic. Rachel's pointing out in the chat that another thing that was like contributing to Toby's anxiety was just that they were all celebrating and making light of everything, and Toby wasn't in that place. You know, and he just wasn't there in that moment. And it's like sometimes you can get on board, but sometimes you can't. And we've
like
watched
not
Toby get on board.
like not 15 minutes after I just got the text. How about
No,
that?
I'm
How
not.
about that?
Hey,
How about not 15 minutes after I got the text?
it's too
Yeah,
much too fast.
yeah, it's too
So,
much.
you know, but I think that that's what makes This Is Us so good, because it is, to your point, bro, it is so real, and it is showing the fact that you don't lose love and you don't lose relationship because you get out of sync for a minute. You know, and if you are mature enough, like Toby, you can
You can
always
snap right back.
recover. You can always recover. You can always restore. And the other thing is, we have seen times where Kate was a hot friggin' mess and Toby had it together. And now Kate has got it together, and Toby, you're crumbling before our eyes. Get it together. But it's like, that's the other thing about being in relationship, being in community. You don't have to bear it all. And there's, you know, we can just kind of like ebb and flow, and there's ups and there's downs and there's lefts and there's rights. And so that's why this show, it is about humanity. It's about family. It's about the
It is.
resilience of humankind, you know?
But I
So
gotta
good,
tell
bro.
you, the one of the things that was most exciting about this episode to me is Stabler is coming back to SVU. So excited.
All right,
That commercial.
everyone. Aubrey has
I'm sorry.
decided to talk about the commercials.
I'm
You know,
I'm just saying I was excited
bro,
about that
that's
commercial.
fine. That's fine, because you know what? We're gonna let NBC. We're gonna celebrate NBC, okay? Because they've given us This Is Us, and so they will now have an SVU commercial on this podcast because that show is so good. That show
I'm
is
just
so good.
saying
It's so good.
the SVU for me is just
Yep.
the perfect amount of
That Mariska Hargitay, she knows exactly what she's doing. She
and
does.
I
She's
just
very
love
good.
I just love that her and Ice-T are like, yeah, we are in this until the wheels fall off. Just to let
Yeah.
you know.
Season
But anyway, I want to get up.
195. Here we go. In it, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Crank them out. Crank them out. Here's a current event. Let's emulate it.
Said, I've seen every episode of SVU, and I was just very excited to see Stabler's coming back. And I didn't know he had a spinoff show. I didn't know that. So now I'm double excited. So anyway, that wasn't the point, but that was a.
And bro, and there's one, I was just scrolling through my mind. Did we hit everything? I think the one thing we didn't hit was Uncle Nicky coming and surprising, you know, Toby and Kate, because they had named one of the babies, Nicky.
Well,
or something.
You mean Madison and.
That's right. That's what it was.
And Kevin.
There you go. He came to Madison and Kevin's house to as a surprise.
But I don't have anything to say about that yet because I don't know which direction.
They didn't give us it. They didn't. But I will.
And I don't watch the previews because I like. So it was cool to see. But
what they did do though is tee up a throwing off of the rhythm of that household. That's what they've teed up by him coming to the door unannounced And we see Madison and Kevin and their nanny, they got their flow. So I felt like what they were teeing up for us was, okay, Candyland, you're about to, what is that? Is it Candyland where you have like, Chutes and Ladders? It's like, do we have a shoot
I don't like
coming?
making predictions, but I think you hit it.
Yep.
I'm curious to see if you hit it.
I've already started, like, in my mind, I gotta say, I've started like going to all these scenarios already where I think Nikki's going to become like obsessed with the kids and like really want to be too close because he doesn't have a family and he had all those emotional issues. And so, and it just in general, I want everyone I know to know, don't come as a surprise ever. Call first. I don't think anyone should do that. I mean, I like a surprise gift in the mail. Send me a present, but don't just come over. You don't know what I got planned. You don't know what I'm doing. You don't know if I feel like getting dressed today.
Except me, I will literally come to your house whenever I want.
Obviously, so Aubrey and Brittany exempt, but at the same time,
matter of fact,
y'all would never do that. But you could. But y'all would never do that.
I could promise you, though, the way to get me to do it would be for you to tell me not to, and I'll ensure that I will be there within the next 24 hours. So it might not be a surprise in that regard, because you could guarantee.
Bro, being self-aware about these things doesn't make it okay.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just letting you know what's going to happen.
But
because I know I might not be there, but that is definitely my apartment up there as well. So,
hey, you know what?
You'll come home and I'll be sleeping on your couch. With a plate of your eating food on the coffee table.
I will.
And you will be like, "Hey, bro!"
I would love it. I would love it.
That's right.
Because I did that. I took a sabbatical. I took about 1.5 years off.
That's right.
And I was wandering the earth for about 1.5 years.
And just showed up
with very little notice. There was notice.
We had a ball.
It was not much. But it was very little notice, and I stayed with Aubrey for as long as I wanted to. It was an extremely long time.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome. So fun and great. It was.
So yeah, that's it. We hit it all. So
we sure did.
We sure did. So I don't know when the next one is, if it's next week, but
I have not checked. See, that's the other thing. Brittany, where you at to know what the schedule?
But we'll be back.
Whenever it is, we'll be there. This
is
the right perspective.
Do you talk about the
yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you, bro. Good. Thank you. Good catch. You all, I hope you're looking forward to the next episode of the Right Perspective podcast. It drops on Saturday, March 20th, and we are reviewing, wait for it, Silence of the Lambs. Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So that's the right perspective.
Can I just say that? Can I say that neither of my sisters have ever seen Silence of the Lambs? So I'm very excited about this episode. So,
and I am scared. I'm putting it off to the very last minute because I am scared. I'm intimidated just by the lore.
It's gonna be fun.
I love you, bro. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And this has been the Right Perspective. See you next time.